Uh, my name is Jeremy. This is my girlfriend Jessie, and we're uploading this video for Glioblastoma Awareness Day. Now, Jessie has a story to tell. Now, how old were you when you were first diagnosed?
8 years old.
Do you remember when you knew something was wrong?
When I was sleeping for 72 hours straight, I had migraine headaches that I could not stand.
When was this?
Spring of 91.
And you were how old?
8.
8 years old, couldn't sleep,
Mm.
splitting headaches.
Yes.
When did you finally get some medical help?
Well, I was getting medical help at that time, but my pediatrician was lying to my mother
Ah,
because I was having flu symptoms because I was asleep for 72 hours straight. I couldn't hold anything down, but then there were days where I was perfectly fine, would go to school. 2 hours later, I'd be dropping down to my knees, and the nurse had to be called, and my mother had to come pick me up, or my aunt had to come and pick me up. The boiling point came to where I had a week straight of feeling fine, and I had a softball game. And just like any 8-year-old who thinks that their nose is running, I went like this, and there was blood all down my arm. My coach's hanky was soaked with blood from front to back, and my nose bled for 6 hours. That's when my mother's boyfriend went off the plank and said, yeah, I'm not dealing with this anymore. She is going to go and see my friend, Dr. Summerfield. I don't give a crap what Wilfer has to say. She's going, you're getting a second opinion. I don't care, Lori. I'm calling him right now. So he called Dr. Summerfield. I went down to Jameson ER because I live in Newcastle, PA. And they did a CAT scan and found that the tumor covered half left hemisphere of my brain. And that if my mother would have listened to Dr. Flores for another week, I would have been dead. So she finds this out. My grandmother's with us. She has a massive heart attack. So my mother had to call my aunt and my grandfather and be like, Campo, I need you here for me, and bring Daddy down here because Mommy's in the ER with a massive heart attack. So from that point, they sent me to Children's Hospital. They were going to air flight me, but they were scared that it would do more damage to my brain, so they had to rush me there by ambulance. And I've had migraine headaches for going on like 2.5 months. And if anybody's had an MRI, you know how noisy them things are. They're extremely noisy. It sounds like you're on a, excuse my language, dang frickin' construction site.
oh, potty mouth.
Well, sorry. I said dang. I didn't say the damn. I said dang. I was nice, you know. So they put me in this MRI machine, and my mom and aunt were crying, or at least that's what they told me. So my mother did not know, but she gave me aspirin, so I should have had my surgery that day. But I had a low blood count, so I had to wait for my white blood cells to go up and wait for my surgery to happen. I didn't like that because I don't like needles at all. And every time that I woke up for breakfast, for dinner, for lunch, before I went to bed, this big black guy came in and was poking me with needles. I looked at him and said, dude, should you not be giving me the blood? Because isn't I the one with the tumor? Like, why do you keep taking the blood out of me? So I'm 8 years old, she had to explain to me that I have white blood cells and red blood cells and this, that, and him. So finally on June 17th, which I consider my cancer anniversary, they did my brain surgery. We live an hour from Children's Hospital, so my mom made the phone call to all my aunts and uncles and stuff who had previously talked to Dr. Pang, who told them if they believe in God, they need to pray because my tumor did not move over a half an inch, I would be a vegetable. I would not be able to walk, I would not be able to talk, I would not be able to see or hear or speak.
And did they tell you this beforehand, or just your family?
Just my family, but then my family came in and told me because my mother...
So I was curious, how much were they informing you throughout the process?
Oh, they
of what
told
was
me
going
everything.
On? Okay.
They told me everything.
Yeah.
And when Dr. Pang came into my room, I went from 48 pounds down to 28 pounds. I had like no strength whatsoever. And I'm Romanian.
You still had some sass though.
Oh yeah, I'm Romanian, so I had a little bit of sass in me. And my grandpa and grandma were there, and I sat up and I said, "Listen here, mister. Don't you be scaring my family. I will be here in a year, even if I gotta wheel myself down here in a wheelchair." And my mother went Jessica Ray, and my grandfather went Lorianne and slapped her upside the back of the head and said, "She wants to cuss him out, let her cuss him out. She's got the courage of a lion in her, let her cuss him out." And that's exactly what I did.
So you told me that Make-A-Wish got involved, right?
Yes.
So what was that like?
Because glioblastoma is one of the most rarest, deadliest cancers, there's not that big of survival rate. You can survive 12 to 18 months, which is usually what everybody survives. A year is 40%, 2 years is 17%, 5 years is like 1%. So
And you've been in remission for how long?
35 years.
35 years.
So basically, one of the people who knew one of the nurses got a hold of Make-A-Wish. And my mom was like, "You have to come up with a wish." She goes, "What do you want?" And I'm not that intelligent, 8-year-old kid.
She's smarter than she thinks she is.
So I'm thinking to myself, if I meet somebody, that's only gonna be like 4 to 6 hours if I'm lucky. If I go on a trip, that kind of lasts at least a week or so. And my mother's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I think I want to go to Disney World." She goes, "Okay, well, who do you want to take with you to Disney World?" I said, "Well, you're going to go, and your boyfriend Johnny's going to go, and Bo, and Tommy, and Picky." And she goes, "Jessie, I don't think that they can handle that many people with Make-A-Wish." I said, "Well, I'm the one sitting here dying from cancer,
Well, why they call
so
it a wish?
guess what?
It's
It's going to happen. I don't care what I have to do, it will happen." So we went down to Make-A-Wish, and the guy who owns the Holiday Inn let all the people who were Make-A-Wish people stay for free. Well, he got so overcrowded that he bought this land of townhouses, and it's called Brides for Kids or something, but it's a whole bunch of townhouses that he lets out to all the Make-A-Wish kids. And he has like a gingerbread house and a swimming pool and all this kind of stuff. And they have a Disney breakfast to where the characters come and they meet with all the Make-A-Wish kids and their families and stuff. And you get a pin that you wear on your shirt or whatever, to where when you go to Disney World, you don't have to wait in the line. You just go to the exit and you get right on the thing, just like Kennywood has, like, pin. You go to the exit and you get right on the ride. Easy peasy. But we went to this dinner, and my 2 cousins were like my brothers, and they agitated me when I was a little girl. And you had to put on these big, huge cowboy hats. And I'm like, I'm going to get to you now. And I go, she goes, who do you want to wear the cowboy hat? I went, him and him.
Yeah, thing one and thing two.
And Tommy and Vicky were like, we're not doing it. And my aunt looked at him there. She was like, oh, yes, you are. Why? Because if it wasn't for your cousin getting cancer, y'all wouldn't be here right now. So put the cowboy hat on and put a big grin on your face, and you're doing it. I went, ha ha. Vicky looked at me and goes, is this payback? I went, yes, it is. This is payback for holding my tricycle up in the air and going, excuse my language, short shit, try to get it. Yeah, this is payback. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I had fun in Disney World. And then when I came back, I was still a Make-A-Wish kid. So I got to go to all the Pirates games, all the Steelers games, and I made my grandfather's day because I got to meet Barry Bonds before he got into drugs. So
he was real good without him too. What a shame.
Yeah, I know. So I got to meet him and Bobby Vinny and Jay Bell and Orlando Merced and Bob Patterson. So that made my grandfather's day. But when I had my surgery, probably one of the most scariest days of my life. I had no idea that my mother was alone. But I don't think you call that table or whatever you're on. Bed.
The bed, the gurney.
The gurney, that's it. That's the word I'm looking for. When we went past, I saw about that big, and it freaked me out because I'm like 8 years old and I'm seeing this tiny saw, and I'm like, they're gonna cut my head open with that thing.
It didn't really feel real until then, huh?
And I'm like, I really have cancer, and they're really gonna cut my skull open, and they're gonna take tumor out of my head. And this is what I'm telling myself in my head. So they're trying to like hold me down, and they put the IV in your foot because you're a kid, just in case you do wake up during surgery and you don't try to pull it out of your arm. So they put the gas mask over me, smelled bubble gum. I was out. And when I woke up, I saw this huge, bright golden light, and I knew in my heart of hearts that it was God. And I said, God, I'm ready. He goes, it's not your time, kid. I went, what? I said, did I do something wrong? He goes, no. He goes, I just have something for you to do. You gotta wait a little bit longer. And I went, for what? And he goes, I have a plan for you, and you'll know it when you see it. I went, okay. So I got on my surgery, and they told my family that I might have amnesia, that I might not know who they are. And you gotta understand, like, I don't want to eat anything. Like, I was not eating. It was not happening. They're trying to shove and short down my face. Like that.
So how much of your brain did they remove?
A big chunk of my left brain. Down about that much of my left brain. That's it.
Out of an 8-year-old's head.
Yeah. So my mom came in. She said, do you know who I am? I went, yes, I do. My head hurts. My arm hurts. My foot hurts. And I'm hungry. She went, well, your foot hurts because that's where your IV is. And your head hurts because they just cut your head open. And I'll see what I can do about getting you some ginger ale. Okay. And then my aunt and my cousin Tommy and Vicky came in. They're like, you know who I are? I'm like, why does everybody keep asking me if I know who you are? You're Aunt Bo, you're Tommy, you're Picky. Picky's like, okay, she's good. I'm out of here. I don't like hospitals. I'm leaving. So Tommy and my aunt stayed with me until my mother came back in with ginger ale. And I had to wait a week because I had to have chemotherapy. But back in the early 90s, this kind of cancer was not relevant. You know what I mean? Nobody had ever heard of it. Nobody had ever seen it before. So my mom had to sign a whole bunch of documents because I had to get experimental chemotherapy to the point to where I had to get a Metaport in because the dose was so high that it would have burnt my veins. So now my nerve endings are shredded like paper, and he can tell you I hate the cold. I don't like the cold at all.
She's cold unless it's like 88 degrees.
Like seriously, like today it still bothers me to where I'll get cramps in my lower calves and my feet and stuff. Yeah, I have to be warm all the time. I don't like the winter weather at all. Oh, cheer out. Here's Mike right here. Yeah. And he keeps down here for me.
We got two of them down here.
I don't like the cold whatsoever. I'm not meant for the cold. I had 2.5 years of chemotherapy. I had 6 months of radiation. I got
driving back and forth to Pittsburgh.
How often? Day.
Every day.
Every day I had to have an MRI. When I got to a year, it was every 3 months. When I got to 5 years, it was every 6 months. When I got to my 15th year, it was every year. And it was hell on earth going through all this pain. Like my mom and me would go down there, and my mother is kind of like Mario Andretti. Like if it says 70-ish, she's going 80-ish. And we were going down there one day, and I'm like, Mommy, you're just like Moses. They see you coming, and they just part. They just get out of your way.
Yeah, they take that route so much. They know where her car. Get out of that bitch's way.
So we get to Orange Bridge, and she would tell me, okay, Jessie, it's time to change. So I had my little bed in the back seat of our Toyota Corolla, and I change and go and do my MRI. Then we go and get my chemo, and then I went to radiation. But if I had a good day, we would go to Kennywood. If I didn't, we'd go to Ross Park Mall, eat the food court, and go home. But everybody kept telling me, you're a miracle child, you're a miracle child, you're a miracle child. And when you're going through all this pain and all this heartache, you just don't see it. And I went to my 5th year, got to my 15th year, got to my 25th year. Everybody said, oh, you're a miracle child. Not mine. I woke up on my 30th anniversary, and I walked downstairs, and I went, I did it. My mom goes, what? I went, you're right. I am a miracle child. Nobody's ever lasted this long. What is going on? And I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of neurosurgeons, from residencies to doctors who have come from other countries and looked at me and went, holy crap, you're still here. I went, yeah, I'm still here. Don't know why, but I'm still here. And this is right when COVID was going on, and the doctor looked at me and he goes, what are you doing here? I went, dude, you really think I want to be here right now? Do you know how many people I've seen that are like in your stage? Yeah, no, I don't want to be here right now. I just do what they tell me to do. They tell me to come see you, I come see you. Here I am, sitting here. I don't know why I'm here. He goes, you don't need to be here right now. And with a, what are you talking about? She went, she's scared. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, what did you just say? He was like, you two ladies have never heard the word. I said, dude, the only word that I've heard with a C is cancer. That's it. He goes, honey, it's been 30 years. You've had over 400 MRIs. You've had over 350 CAT scans. You've had over 12 ECCs where they put the pink things on your head with the wires and stuff until you go to sleep. Not very easy to do. You've had over 15 EKGs. If your cancer was going to come back, it would have come back by now. So he left. We hit our knees, and I said, okay, now I know what I have to do. So today is July 16th, 2025. I'm here as a 35-year survivor. I'm the first kid to grow into adulthood and the first adult to survive this long. I'm here to tell my story. And my story goes a lot deeper than what I'm telling you right now. I got bullied and terrorized in school. Not only because of my brain cancer, but because I was born with a birth defect. Now, there were several people in Newcastle, because we lived an hour from Pittsburgh, that did fundraisers for me, as far as softball tournaments for me and cheerleading tournaments for me, and put my
just straight up donations.
They didn't even know my mom. They would hand her $50 for groceries and stuff. But I'm here because God saved me to tell my story, to help support people. If you need to find my information at Children's Hospital, it's under Jessica Thomas. I don't use that name because that's my birth father's name.
That's a whole other story.
We don't get along very well.
Maybe another time.
That's why I use my mother's last name. But it's under Jessica Thomas. It's all there. But I'm hoping that this goes viral. Not for my sake, but for the sake of people who are going through this right now, or their kid is going through this, or their husband, or their brother, their sister, their mother-in-law, whoever it may be. If you need help, if you need support, you can look me up on Facebook under Jessica Stroya. Right now it has my cancer picture on there because, like I said, today is July 16, 2025, and it is Glioblastoma Awareness Day. So that's my story.
All right, one last thing. You want to give any shout outs for people who stood out during that time? Surgeon, doctor, teachers who helped you out? Just real quick.
Johnny Manolis, only because my mother is Romanian and she is the biggest procrastinator on the face of this earth. And if he wouldn't have spoken up and told my mother to get a second opinion, I wouldn't be here now. So I want to thank him for saving my life. I want to thank all of his friends who played softball with him, who did softball tournaments for me. If it wasn't for them helping me out, I don't think I would be here right now. Mrs. Kaiser, who was my first tutor because I couldn't go to school as soon as I got out, she helped me be strong. Mrs. Phillips, who was my 4th grade teacher, and I will never forget, it was picture day and I had worn my Easter dress and my Easter bonnet, and the guy who did her pictures was like, she cannot wear that hat, and she went off on him like Helen Wills, and I thought she was gonna have a heart attack. So that's one of my memories. Mark Galisco, Anthony Morgan, and Bobby Rosano, who Mark Galisco, because he let me and my mother walk around to every classroom and explain my diagnosis, what could hurt me, what couldn't hurt me, which in a way was a blessing, but was also a curse. But
tell a quick story about the wig.
Oh,
that's funny.
Well, I had no hair whatsoever. I had no eyebrows. I had no eyelashes. I looked like a little boy, and back in those days, boys didn't wear 2 earrings. It wasn't like it is today, Boys did not wear 2 earrings. You didn't do that in the 80s and the 90s. Not the way it was. And I was like, oh yeah, well, did 2 boys wear neon earrings? Like, is it like that? And I had a wig, but the wig had like this. It wasn't like the wigs today that are comfortable. It was like it was very itchy. I didn't like wearing. So my mom would be up there and she'd be explaining stuff. And I'm Romanian. God forgive me for saying this, but I had balls of steel. Like I'm like 28 pounds, skinnier than a toothpick, And I would stand up in front of the whole classroom and go, "Yep, that's right. This is not real." And they're all like, and I drop it. Like, "Yep, probably not gonna see that on me again because I'm walking around with a bald head. I don't like wearing it. It's itchy. Don't like wearing it at all. Probably not gonna see it on me again. I'm just doing it right now because, my mother told me I had to. I really don't want to wear it, but, I had to. So I had people that became my bodyguards because they're like, supposed tough girl. Like, she's like 28 pounds. And
someone worth standing up for.
You know what I mean? She's just taking this wig off, Ronnie White, God rest his soul, passed away. People like Anthony Brown, Jason Hall, Pat Kane, George Joseph, Eddie Pegley, Ashley Kontakis, Tasha Lawson, Siobhan Good, Ace Carbone, Ario Anderson, Jessica Basinski. All these people who look after me. And when push came to shove, if somebody was messing with me, who did it? I'll go up their butts, And in today's society, it has gotten to the point to where bullying has gotten so far that these children are killing themselves because they're different. The suicide rate with kids is up way too high because these parents are not teaching their kids right. If somebody has a difference, stand up for them. Don't make fun of them. Stand up for them. Be the person that gets remembered for being a bodyguard, not for the person who is getting bullied. It got to the point to where I literally had to go on national television. I literally went on Sorry Jessie Raphael because that's how mad I was at the school district. They didn't let me from that point on. But the point of the fact is that I'm here to support anybody. I'm here to help kids talk about bullying, talk about, cancer diagnosis, the birth defect diagnosis. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, like I said, you can find me on Facebook under Jessica Stroya. On Instagram, you can look me up as Jessica Stroya. But if you need to find any of my medical information at Children's Hospital, it's under Jessica Thomas. But that's me, and that's my story. And God bless this man.
All right. Thanks for listening.